My amplified unit. The Monday Night Raw rating is in, and you can file this even with a big doofus son-in-law announcement and a not-so-nice bunny being promoted throughout the show. You can file this number in the uh-oh, that ain't good category. We're going to talk all about Monday Night Raw and the number they drew. Coming up in this podcast, we're also going to talk MJF once again, twice within 3 days, tweeting and deleting. Problem with this one is no lies were detected in what MJF said, but BC is going to break down why a lot of that locker room was probably not too pleased by MJF's words. We're going to talk all about it coming up. WWE's Nick Khan has ordered all WWE employees to return to Stamford, Connecticut's new headquarters. They moved across the street. Everybody's got to come back to work Monday through Friday, physically be in their seat at their office. Oh, the hardships of life. Get off your couch, leave your laptop at home. It's time to go to work. What a concept. Everybody's got to come back. But with the WWE, there's always an underlining reasoning, right? BC is going to tell you exactly why this is happening right now. See, they're all coming back to work. Not all of them are staying. It's like the old movie Dazed and Confused, when the teacher tells the kids, "Men, it's like my drill sergeant said when we were younger. Men, 50 of you are going away on a mission. 25 of you ain't coming back." We're going to talk about what WWE is up to, why they are ordering everybody to come back to work right now, and within 60 days, a lot of them will not have to worry about showing up to work Monday through Friday. They're going to be right back on their couch. We're going to talk all about it coming up. And a lot of development coming out of NXT Spring Breakin from last night, the big themed NXT show, and what it all means, because a lot of developments transpired last night. And now it's all about the draft. Who is showing up and who is staying put? BC's going to tell you exactly what he feels on the entirety of this draft, NXT, who's going where, the latest. And I got the latest on CM Punk as well. The never-ending Phil Brooks saga continues. It's a packed show, clearly. A lot to talk about. We're not going to waste any more time teasing in the cold open. It's time to just do this shit. Let's go! Amped Up with BC, Wednesday, April 26th, 2023. Let's get amplified! Salute, unit. So we'll start off with NXT Spring Breakin, a big event that was held last night, big themed NXT show, the last show before the WWE Draft, which starts just 2 nights from this evening. Friday night, SmackDown will be night number 1. It'll continue into Monday Night Raw, and then the 48 hours after Raw, they will be making last picks on WWE.com. So it's going to continue after Monday night as well. The reason for that is WWE doesn't even know who's going where, let's be honest. As of right now, I'm pretty sure that company is clueless on the majority of the roster and where they're going. It's that sad. But Spring Breakin last night produced a lot of interesting results. I won't go over the full... Well, I probably will touch up on mostly every match, actually, because nearly every match had a big impact on what happens next with these wrestlers' futures. Because some of these talents are absolutely getting called up. I don't think that's even... If you keep them in NXT, they're outstaying their welcome. So what am I talking about? Well, let's start with my girl, if you don't mind, Roxanne Perez. She was in a triple threat match last night with Indy Hartwell, the current NXT Women's Champion, and Tiffany Stratton. Stratton is one of these wrestlers that has come out recently, and I love this new... They're honest, right? Sometimes honest to a fault. But Tiffany Stratton recently said that she actually wants to stay in NXT because she has to get better. And she actually listed areas like promos and selling. And I'm like, whoa, first of all, promos, you're already leaps and bounds above 90% of the females in wrestling today. Promos, you're ready to rock. Selling, maybe. Okay, I can see that. The honesty in this woman. To say that I have to get better, I don't think I should be on the main roster right now. You're not going to get that from a lot of people. And I'm going to just throw a name out there. It's not shade, but somebody like a Dana Brooke, who, when we all knew clearly, and I'm sure she knew that she should not be on the main roster when she was for the past several years, she has gotten better and she has worked her ass off to get better. That's awesome. But there was a long time where Dana Brooke should not have been hanging with a Sasha Banks, a Naomi, or even a Charlotte Flair, a Becky Lynch, a Bianca Belair. No, right? But she was on the roster, and people were confused. Like, what? There's so many better talents and people that should get that spot. And Dana just kept on like, no, I deserve this. This is my spot. I just need the opportunities. And I'm like, no, you've gotten them. Now, this Dana Brooke has gotten better, what we see in 2023. That's in the eye of the beholder, whether you want to see her in WWE or not. My point is, just bringing people up to the main roster when they're clearly not ready never has a good result. It doesn't matter if it's a Dana years ago or an Eva Marie, still to this day is dreadful to watch. Nia Jax never wanted to get better. She just kept on being the same Nia and injuring motherfuckers left and right. And before you knew it, even the company, and you know it's bad when The Rock's family gets DOS boot. But even Nia Jax had to get DOS boot from the company. You know it's bad at that point. Just no level of improvement. So my point is, it's not shade to any of the examples that I am providing. It's to show you how honorable that is for Tiffany Stratton. But BC's got to be honest, when she does get called up, whether that's in 6 months to a year or not, I think she's going to be fine. I think when it's a sink or swim situation, Tiffany Stratton is going to swim fine straight to shore. Probably get to shore before a lot of others. I don't think she's going to sink in that ocean. So I think she'll be fine, but I absolutely commend the truth in her and her wanting to get better. And for her to say that in interviews, maybe I would keep away from that, keep that internally, talk to Michael Higginbottom, Shawn Michaels, and William Regal and others there in NXT. Talk to 3H's if you gotta. Have those internal conversations. I don't know if I would tell the world that I'm just not ready in these areas. I don't think we need to know that, TMI. Because then people will look at you a little differently. I think Tiffany Stratton is hitting it out of the park right now. Of course, there's areas she needs to improve. Anyway, she's in this triple threat with my girl Roxy and Indy Hartwell, your current champion. Now, when this match was done, Tiffany hits one of the best moonsaults all the time, and she lands it clean. One of the best moonsaults you're going to see that actually hits clean time after time is Stratton. Stratton hits Roxy with that moonsault, and Indy takes out Stratton or just kind of pulls her out of the ring. Now, I believe, non-kayfabe here, I think that Indy was actually injured. Her ankle looked fucked up, and it looked like Roxy and Tiffany Stratton had to kind of call massive audibles in the match, which made it even more sloppy. As a big Roxy fan, and as somebody who's high on Indy and Stratton, I will be the first to say the match had a lot of sloppy spots, like the springboard, the double arm springboard. Roxy had Tiffany by one arm, had Indy by the other arm, does a great buttock springboard, and when she flips, Roxy falls a little bit to the right, and it was a train wreck after that. Indy went one way, Tiffany fucking hesitated and went the other way. There was a lot of those moments. But a lot of them were caused by what I feel was a real ankle injury by Indy, so we hope she's okay. And if it wasn't, then she sold it masterfully, I guess, but it actually affected the match negatively if she wasn't actually injured. So I would have done away with the ankle injury. Hopefully you guys are keeping up. But Indy Hartwell, it did look like it was pretty real because there was a lot of audibles that were being called, and it's just a lot of sloppiness that you don't usually see with a Roxy match up front. Tiffany, I'll allow the mulligans. Roxy's much better than that. So anyway, guys, Indy was playing the outside a lot of the match, and again, would go in conjunction with her being actually injured. So when the moonsault's hit by Tiffany onto Roxy, Indy takes out Stratton, gets in the ring, hobbles to the ropes, and delivers that forearm to the back of Roxy's dome piece, and covers Roxy just like that, just with the forearm after the Stratton moonsault. And Roxy just gets pinned. 1, 2, 3. Now listen, Indy Hartwell, absolutely. You don't win a title and then lose it a few weeks later. I am totally fine with her keeping the championship. This has to tell you, though, that my girl Roxy at the young age of, 21, 22 tops? I mean, she's very young, guys. She just got this wrestling thing very quickly. Some people get it naturally and very quick. Roxy's one of those. At this age, this looks like Roxy's getting called up. You don't have her lose a triple threat match, especially when she won the title. Then you had the weird pass out thing where she totally passed out post-match, and that was in that match with Satomura, and it was just one of the best female matches I've seen in a long time. And she passes out afterwards, and then she comes back a few weeks later. The championship is up for grabs. It's not even hers at that point. Indy gets it, not her. She gets the rematch, triple threat. She loses that match, literally flat on her back looking up at the lights. I don't see what more Roxy would have to do down there. Especially when Cora Jade, who we originally thought was going to get called up because she had a dark match recently on Raw, and we're hearing that WWE management is high on Cora Jade. But Cora Jade, as much as we're high on her as well as fans, I don't think she's quite ready yet. She has a lot more that she should be accomplishing in NXT. And I'm not even saying she's got to win championships, but a lot more. For instance, hear me out. Indy Hartwell versus Cora Jade could be a fun feud. Should be. So Cora Jade winning her match last night kind of makes you think, is Cora getting the call up? Not Roxy. Is it Cora and Roxy is Roxy getting called up, and this is just a big W for Cora to maybe set her sights on Indy Hartwell? Who the fuck knows? But I don't see anything else that Roxy would have to accomplish here. She's gotten to the mountaintop. She won the championship. And then you just had her kind of fail a few times to get it back after the post-pass-out situation. I'm not saying that she needs to be on the main roster right now. I just don't see any more trajectory in NXT that she would have to prove. She got so much so quickly. Deserved, by the way. She's that good. I'm calling this now. I say Roxy goes into the draft. This may be out there in left field with a hockey stick. You may be saying, BC, whoa, pump the brakes, buddy. I know you love Roxy, but not so fast. I hear you. But I don't see, trajectory-wise, why she would have to stick around, and there's way too many hungry females ready to just bite at the chops to get at Indy Hartwell. And I don't think that Roxy and Indy, I don't think that would be too fun going forward. Two faces that fans really enjoy their work and really like to cheer for them. I don't know if I need to see that for 2 to 3 months. Roxy. Big loss last night. Flat on her back looking up at the lights as Indy Hartwell, an injured Indy Hartwell, I believe. I hope she's okay. And didn't actually break a fragment of her ankle. Because you can still walk on that shit broken. I know that firsthand from some football injuries. We hope it's just like a sprain. She stays off in a few weeks. No competition. Can still cut promos. But that was a big situation that I wanted to talk there, man. Cora Jade with a W. Big W. And Roxy takes a massive L. Could both be getting called up or one or the other. Also last night, Stax and D'Angelo in a trunk match against Pretty Deadly. Now, I'm going to tell you why I loved this. First of all, they started the night off with that. Most of the match had nothing to do with the trunk. It wasn't until the end, right? In fact, it was more about the weapons. Like, for instance, you had a ball pit. Think of like the McDonald's ball pit, but like on a much smaller scale, like a pet. Like if you had a little fucking pet chihuahua and they had a nice little ball pit. They have a ball pit. They got fucking little mini surfboards. Little bungle boards that they're like, it was out of this world, man. I think kendo sticks were out there. I saw trash cans. There were steel chairs. Then you go backstage where the fun really kicks in. Pretty Deadly is put into the trunk. Stax and D'Angelo actually drive off. I love this. And guys, my creative mind goes, well, pick it up. Later in the night, pick it up. Have a drop-off point. You know, like really tell a story. You're a television show. Guys, the night ended. So that's how the night began. First you had like a pool party. Overly scripted, overly produced. I don't like that about NXT. It's like way too many camera angles. You could tell the lines are so scripted out. It's just cheesy. It's cheesy soap opera. But after that, you went into the tag match. So then you started with Pretty Deadly in the trunk. Stax and D'Angelo, the family drives away. At the end of the night, after the triple threat, after the main event, you pick up Stax and D'Angelo driving up to the river. As it's old school Sopranos, old Italiano type fucking shit, you know, storylines, movies, some Goodfellas shit, where Pretty Deadly is basically being dropped off in the river. And then they start talking about tag team gold aspirations. And they drive away. And they just show a shot of the river. Like Pretty Deadly just got thrown into the river. Don't worry, guys. Pretty Deadly is alive and well. In fact, goes into my next thought process here. Pretty Deadly looks to be WWE main roster bound, right? There's nothing else for them to do. They're just going to outstay their welcome. I think that's the theme of this for a lot of wrestlers. If they don't get the call up, and I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing to get called up, right? That might be looked at as a negative thing because the main roster will find ways to destroy you if it's working in NXT. I get it. But Pretty Deadly, I don't see what else is left. And this is the perfect way to end them in NXT. You get thrown in the river. That's basically saying the trash has been taken out. You're out of NXT. So this is the perfect introduction. They get themselves out of the river. And they fucking, they get swallowed up to shore of WWE's main roster, right? That's how I see this all playing out. Pretty Deadly looks to be main roster bound. That looked to be their exit out of NXT. And I just loved how it was done. They drove away in the trunk and then they picked it up at the end of the show and they dropped them off at the river. This is what I miss on the main roster. Tell fun stories, man. Get creative. Go out to a river. Go out to a Walmart. Have them fight around the Walmart, on the roof of a Walmart, the middle of a fucking Chicago street, wherever. But have fun. Tell stories, man. That was fun last night, and it helped a television show be a good television show. I loved what I saw with the family in Pretty Deadly last night. Something else I really loved, which was not a match, but I fucking love this, man. So much NXT did correctly last night. Dijak taking Dragunov's dome piece off. So there's about to be an interview. Dragunov comes into the backstage area, and as he's stepping up in front of the camera to do the interview, fucking Dijak, I mean, a boot heard around the world. I mean, this thing hit flesh to where you had to do a double take and make sure that Dragunov's dome piece is still on his shoulders. And then he just takes a whooping. Are you living now? Are you living now? Are you alive? Are you alive now? Dijak is flipping out, screaming as he cracks the skull of Dragunov's dome piece into the concrete. Then he takes the garage door and he slams it into the midsection of Dragunov, and Dragunov's selling it beautifully, like he is stuck under this thing. You got about 30 officials, suits and ties, medical, they're all trying to get this thing off of Dragunov, and Dijak is just flipping out. The whole thing was done masterfully. Whole thing masterfully. That's the type of backstage segments we should be getting on main roster. Realistic, believable, edge of your seat, like, damn, this is physical. Damn, this is solid. Really good. I had to bring that up as well, guys. I literally made it a point to put that into my notes because that was really good from last night's show. Bron Breakker, I want to discuss real quick. So Melo defeats Grayson Waller, which I believe we all knew was going to happen. I mean, the second I saw that on paper, I said, all right, that's Melo's not losing a championship weeks after he wins the chip. That's never should be happening. And so you think now Waller main roster bound. You would think. You never know with this company, but I don't see what is left for Waller. He takes a big loss here to Melo, title on the line. And he has that big storyline with Shawn Michaels that was masterful, but it's pretty much come to an end for all intents and purposes. I think Waller has nothing to prove. Again, I ask, at what point do you outstay your welcome? Even though the main roster might not be best for these individuals, you may want to keep everybody there. I get it. My concern is, when do you start outstaying your welcome? I will say this, however. You could easily do Melo and Waller for another couple of months. You could actually have an E-match. Oh, not WWE main roster match. You could have a rematch. I don't know what the fucking E-match is. Emergency match. Braun Strowman shows up in in an ambulance. You could easily have a rematch with Waller and Melo. And BC would absolutely be captivated. I think they did this pretty well with the amount of time they had. And it's actually, yeah, man, you could easily extend that. But beyond that, I don't see what would be left for Waller. I think one more rematch and another month or 2 months of story with Melo would be fine. But it's clear that they're setting up Bron Breakker and Melo anyway. In fact, that's what they're doing to go head-to-head with the Double or Nothing. They've already announced that. Because after Melo defeated Waller last night, Trick and Melo are calling out Braun. Braun says, all right, you call him, yeah, I'm going to fucking wreck you. And that's what he does. Takes out fucking Trick and absolutely destroys Melo. Puts motherfuckers through the staging area. Bron Breakker was not fucking around last night. And Bron Breakker sets up that big match with Melo, that rematch. So the big question I have is, wasn't it obvious that Bron Breakker was being called up? But now you have already decided there's a rematch in May to go head-to-head with AEW's Double or Nothing. So Bron Breakker, does he get called up and he has this NXT match? Because if that's the case, we already know Bron's losing. Even though he most likely isn't getting the title back anyway, to just have a 2-month reign of Melo would be criminal. So these are the questions I'm asking, right? Bron Breakker already has a rematch with Melo May 28th, I believe it is. Correct? Sunday, May 28th, head-to-head with Double or Nothing. If you say he's called up and he still has that match, we already know he's not winning, so that actually devalues that match. If he has nothing to do with the call-up and that match is happening, it still leaves the suspense. Oh shit, Braun could be winning this title. I guess my point is, if Braun is ready for the main roster, but you want to have this match first, I would leave him out of the draft, and I would have him a surprise appearance, a surprise new member to the main roster in a couple of months. Maybe towards SummerSlam. Bron Breakker arrives on the scene. I don't understand why everybody has to be in the draft, because you're just putting all of your eggs into one basket. You're putting all your surprises there. Bron Breakker does not need to be in the draft while he has a big title match next month in NXT. Save it for a big surprise later, right? That could be a big Raw moment, a big SmackDown moment. I don't want everybody to just be in the draft, man. It's going to ruin the prestige of a lot of these individuals. So I'm okay with the rematch, Breakker and Melo, and you got to be okay with it because it's happening anyway. But just leave him out of the draft at that point, and then as we get closer to SummerSlam, unveil Bron Breakker on the main roster if that's what we're doing. That's the main points of last night. I may be missing a thing or two. But that's the gist. I already went way long on that, guys, like 20 minutes plus, but there was a lot to talk about. It wasn't just covering Spring Breaking last night, which I thought was a really good show, but it sets up all these scenarios of what happens next. Main roster bound. Who is going to the MR? A lot of what happened last night set the stage for a lot of people. Pretty Deadly. Roxy. Could it be Cora Jade? Dijak showed you last night he should have never left the main roster. He just got a shitty T-bar gimmick in Retribution and was never looked at the same. He showed you last night why he is a main eventer through and through. Dijak has always been that son of a bitch. And even for his size, he can go in the ring with the best. Interesting. Grayson Waller. What did they do with Bron Breakker? There's a lot of questions here, man, that BC has. So thank you for allowing BC to make that the top story of the podcast for today, Wednesday, April 26th, 2023. But there is much more to talk about, so let me get a big swig of my Starbucks hazelnut 2-pump latte. It's always good when they actually put 2 pumps in there, because sometimes the hazelnut, the vanilla, all the syrup is too much. They give a regular latte has 3 pumps. So a little trick for those latte lovers that go to Starbucks and order vanilla, hazelnut, whatever lattes. Guys, if you don't like all the syrup, ask for 2 pumps. 70% of the time, they'll actually read it and they'll give you 2 pumps. The other 30%, you're going to get all the fucking pumps. Whatever. This one was actually made correctly. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. CM Punk was backstage at Monday Night Raw. Those reports are true. I know there's a lot of speculation. No, that wasn't him in the video. That was video from before. These stories are inaccurate. False. They are true. CM Punk, I can confirm that 18 different ways, guys. CM Punk was at the Allstate Arena in Chicago. I cannot confirm all the other weird reports. Like he just happened to be on a flight with other wrestlers and they invited him. He was there for 20 minutes and then got kicked out. Vince personally called to kick him out. H said he needs to leave after they had a nice 10-minute conversation. And none of that makes sense. It's weird. The video that I saw, I think it was with him and Tamina in the parking lot. It looked like he was telling Tamina to tell somebody something to let him in, and he was just stuck in the lot. I don't know. That looked weird. There was stories about him and Miz squashing beef, and more stories that I heard that he was going around and actually like apologizing to individuals and like just being extra nice. He was a nice bunny. So I heard a lot of reports on that. So there's got to be some truth. I wonder what his play is here. What was, because with Phil Brooks, there's always something at play. You know, there's always a reasoning, an underlining reasoning for everything. He's trying to soften up his reputation in the WWE Locker Room before he goes to AEW for their new show on Saturday night's Collision. It's weird. I always knew that Punk. I sensed this when he was in AEW. He knows that WWE is where he always wanted to go back to. I say that and people are like, what? Trust me. If you pick up everything that this guy says. When he came back to Fox Sports and he started talking about his phone is always on if Triple H wants to call, he literally said time after time he's open to do business with them. He hasn't gotten the call. This is what Punk has said. And it's funny because a lot of the CM Punk fans are like, no, he'll never do that. Never. Nope. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, well, but Phil said this. Phil agreed to come back and do the Fox Sports WWE program. But basically it had no affiliation actually to WWE. Well, first of all, yes, it did. It was just ran by a different entity was running it. Fox had more of the say. But it's the partnership with WWE. You're covering WWE. And that's when Punk was saying he wouldn't mind going back. He'll take the phone call. nobody's calling. he'll absolutely hear out offers. And that just confirmed what BC already knew. There's a lot of independents. There's a lot of companies that are a little more than independent. There's Impact Wrestling, TNA. There's the AEW. There's brands like that. New Japan's in a little separate category. But I think Punk, at his stage in life right now, at his age, I think he knows that he just wants to go where the most opportunity is, and WWE is always going to present that because they've been around for decades longer. They just have many more opportunities to get your television shows, to get movies, to get into better contacts with big wig industry professionals like agents. WWE just has all of that in a nutshell. And if you already have star quality power, star name value like Punk, WWE is better suited for him right now. You go to AEW, they're going to ask a lot more out of you match-wise, and you're going to get injured way more often, and it's probably not going to go well. And sure enough, Punk came back, went to AEW, got injured a couple of times, big injuries, foot injury, triceps injury, couple of minor injuries. This was just with a handful of matches in 1 year, by the way. And I think Punk knows he's just another year older. He's another year sore. I don't know. I think he believes he's not a year better. So I think he is setting up for a WWE return in the future. And I know that's going to make a lot of people salty, cry out and go, "Nah, baseline." You have your truth. I know my truth. That's exactly what I believe Punk is doing. He's just setting everything up for the future. He knows that AEW is not going to be his home for that long. And then when this contract is up, or Tony finds the balls enough to fucking axe him out of that locker room, that's it for Punk. He's going to WWE, guys. He will. And if you don't like that, then consider this softening the blow for you. Consider that your pre-warning. Like a hurricane, this is your warning. The hurricane is coming. I think Punk knows that he has a better chance on having way more friends in WWE's locker room right now than AEW's locker room, his own company. But Punk was there on Monday, and that's the latest reports we're hearing. He was going around, making some rounds real quick, and just trying to have conversation, apologize to those he needs to, and just be a nice Punk. Salute. We'll be following that, as we always do, because it's CM Punk, and it's a polarizing fucking topic, fucking 24/7 for some reason. Also, guys, the WWE RAW rating, if you don't mind, I would like to discuss that real quick. WWE pulled in a 1.814, which is 1,000 viewers less than last week, even. So they went down. Basically, it's only 1,000. Yeah, well, it's 1,000. The point is, this was a big announcement for Triple H, Paul Levesque, the doofus son-in-law. Big announcement, right? He takes everything from Tony Khan, and he takes the big announcements because he knows they pop a rating. So he did that, and they promoted a not-so-nice bunny for the whole show. And at the end of the show, you finally got not nice bunny come through the curtain, and he's got a kendo stick. So this is what the bulk of the show, a big announcement, and Bad Bunny was going to save the show. And they pulled a 1.814. Went back a little bit. BC was saying, well, okay, the announcement itself will pull you 1.9. The only question is if they're going to pull a 2.0. I said this in yesterday's live stream covering Raw. I said the only question is, do they hit 2.0? And the show was so bad that I didn't think, even with the announcement, that they were going to hit, and all the new draft news and CM Punk being backstage earlier in the night, even with all of that unfolding, I didn't think the show was good enough to pull a 2.0. I said they'll pull a 1.9 because Punk was backstage earlier and people are going to be like, what was happening? And that 3H's had a big announcement to make. So I said, okay, a 1.9 definitely. Guys, they couldn't even pull the 1.9. They definitely came nowhere near the 2.0. They didn't even come close to the 1.9. They got the same rating as last week, 1.815, but they went down 1,000 plus. Little over 1,000 viewers. But they lost more viewers with the big announcement, which always brings you in more viewers. It always pops a rating. BC, it was just announced a few hours before the show. Okay, what the fuck's it doesn't matter. It made the rounds. It makes more people need to tune in. That's what the big you can make the big announcement that there's going to be a big announcement 30 minutes before the show, and you're going to pop a rating. WWE did not pop a rating. They clearly did not give a fuck about a not-so-nice bunny showing up and waiting 3 hours for the not-so-nice bunny to show up in his Nia Jax jacket, his dad jeans, and his uncle shoes. I don't know who the fuck dressed Bad Bunny this past Monday. And CM Punk being backstage earlier in the night. None of it made an effect. Viewers turned away. They lost viewers this week from last week. File that under, that ain't so good category. That's not good. And this tells you, man, if they popped 50,000 fans to tune in for that 3H's announcement, 50,000, right? Would in the rating stayed the same as last week, in fact, went down another 1,000, and say they brought in 50, that means that if you take away the 50,000 that were brought in for the announcement, I'm just saying bare minimum. We've seen over 100,000 viewers tune in for a big announcement. We've seen it time and time again with Tony Khan and AEW. But let's just say bare minimum 50,000 tuned in just to see the announcement and they heard about CM Punk and all that shit. If you take that 50 away, what that means, guys, is that you pulled in a 1.765. That means Raw would have been in the 1.7s without NFL football competition. NBA playoffs, basically. It's always something, isn't it? Badminton, swimming, a game of Twister, the National Monopoly Championships, the Yahtzee semifinals. It's always going to be something, man. This is without Monday Night Football. Just a few weeks removed from WrestleMania. You got a pay-per-view next Saturday. You got a big announcement being made by the fucking one of the head guys in the company. Punk is backstage earlier in the night. A rapper is coming in to fight one of your wrestlers. And all of it, you actually lost some viewers. And I have a feeling that they were actually in the 1.7s. All of that only was able to muster up a 1.814. When I say this company is in a whirl of shit, when I say these ratings are trash, when I say this company is lost, you don't even got to take my word for it anymore, even though I'm always fucking right, even when I don't want to be. You can just look at the facts, look at the numbers, the metrics, look at all of it. It backs up everything I am telling you. All of what happened on Monday. And they lost some viewers. And they're getting ever so close right back to 1.7. And there's no indication with a go-home show next week that they're going to be anywhere close to a 1.9. That's your Raw rating report for this week. I wish I could have spoke more positively about it. That was never going to happen if you saw the show. Next up, I would like to talk WWE's, and we'll keep it with the WWE, Nick Khan. Has ordered all WWE employees back to work in the new Stamford, Connecticut headquarters. They moved across the street. That's kind of sad because I love the old headquarters. I just felt that building was so prestigious. Now their new headquarters, they actually share that with other big entities. For instance, Philip Morris used to be or either still is there. The smoking brand, I think they do Marlboro and all them. Marlboro. Is there an L in there? Marlboro. I forgot. I used to smoke this shit back in the day when I was an idiot teenager. I don't know if there's a fucking L in there. It doesn't fucking matter. They were in this building at one point, and now WWE has moved in. So now you have a situation where everybody's being ordered back to work. They've been home for most of the week. Maybe they got to come in one day a week. You know, a lot of companies were doing that ever since the pandemic. And now they have to show up Monday through Friday, and a lot of them are going to be bitching and complaining. I don't want to go to work. I was staying at home with my new dog Fluffy. We just had a baby. Lasagna, not lasagna, lasagna. And Lasagna. She's 6 months old. I was working from home. I don't want to go to work. Well, tough shit. You got to go back to work, man. However, they will be crying soon. Because if you think this is just them wanting everybody back in their new headquarters so it looks good, we bought a new building and nobody's here. No, there's an underlining issue. They're going to cut half of them. Or at least 35% bare minimum. Yeah. Old, Dazed, and Confused, as I said in the cold open, right? You watch Dazed and Confused, a couple of the junior high kids. They're about to get fucking paddled by the seniors. It's the last day of school in 1976. So the junior high kids go up to the teacher, and he says, "It's like our drill instructor said, back in our mission, men, 50 are going away on that mission. 25 of you ain't coming back." And the kids are like, does that mean we cannot leave early? Well, this is the deal where everyone's being told to go back to work. And all of them are not going to be stayed. They don't have to worry. They can go right back home with their little puppy Fluffy. They can go right back to their new 6-month-old Lasagna. They're going to be right back home. They're going to get axed. This new Endeavor deal, it's called the Flywheel. And this is how they cut massive amount of jobs, save money, and actually earn money in the process as they go along. It's the Flywheel. Endeavor was able to capsulate $70 million plus when they did the Flywheel to UFC, when they took over UFC. $70 million was saved in the cuts that they did with UFC. Now they're going to do it with WWE. Now, Nick Khan says that it should not affect WWE talent. Our goal is to keep the product and the talent as is. But the employee, absolutely, they are going to be informed that big changes are coming. Well, this is the first step, and they want to do this. They don't want to look that bad as a company, right? They fired all these people over the phone. So they're going to bring them all back to work. They're going to be there for a couple months, because we all knew this was not going to take effect. This merger wasn't really going to wreak itself until about June, July earliest. So they're going to come back to work May, all of June. And right around the end of June, early July, you will start hearing about massive layoffs and cuts. You're going to be hearing about a lot of those people that showed back up to work. They're going right the fuck back home. They're softening the blow. They're doing a little bit of damage control beforehand. And wait, next 60 days, we're going to revisit this story. And all those people crying that they got to go back to work, they're going to be wishing that that there was a fucking work to show up to. Because they are getting axed. Trust me, WWE is set for mass layoffs. It's called the Flywheel for Endeavor. You can Google it yourself. You'll see exactly what BC's talking about. Now, should we go to the MJF storyline? Not storyline, what am I saying? It's a story for the podcast. This is pretty fucking real. Real quick, Logan Paul has confirmed that he's only working 4 matches. I don't know if it's per year or per deal. Probably per deal. We heard that his contract is for at least 2 years, and we're hearing 3 years by some reports. So it's multiple year. That's all you got to know. It's more than 1 year. But he did confirm that he's got 4 matches. I don't see how that would be per year. I don't think he's going to have 4 big matches in a year. That could be 2 matches per year, 2-year deal. I don't know, but he did confirm that he's going to be so part-time, man. And he actually apologized recently on his podcast. He apologized to the WWE talent because he knows the situation. He knows that they're breaking their backs every single day to move everything forward, and he gets to come in and pretty much piggyback off of that. So he wanted them to know how much he appreciates them, and he did confirm that he's only got 4 matches. I don't know if that's annually or over the next 2 years, but Logan Paul, if you were wondering, there is no intent to make him full-time or even near full-time. There's no Logan Paul Monday Night Raw matches or SmackDown matches planned in the future, or at least multiple anyway. Logan Paul is going to be just as part-time as we have seen him. So I just thought I should pass that along. Now for MJF, this is the second time in the last week MJF tweeted and deleted, if you will. One of them might have been an Insta story. It's on one of the socials. And we covered that as well. MJF, this time, left a lengthy post. And I want to actually get the full post, if you don't mind, because that's the only way that I can give you guys exactly why I think this was taken down. So, he follows a reply along the same lines. So this is what he says as a quote. This is MJF, guys. Now, he tweeted this out, or maybe it started on his Insta, and then he put it over on his Twitter, but either way, it was deleted pretty quickly. And I quote from MJF, "The more wrestling fans become bloodthirsty for these dangerous feats in the ring, the more the wrestlers will hurt themselves trying to curry fans' favor." He goes on to say, "Wrestlers, the fans don't understand that at any given point, we can be paralyzed from the neck down or even die from a maneuver as simple as a body slam. By the way, fans reading this, body slams hurt. Every move hurts. They will keep moving the goalpost of what they deem is good. So before you do something stupid, consider this. Their tweet about your banger, is it gonna pay your medical bills? Do the right thing. Go in that ring with the intention of winning the match and leaving the ring the same way you entered it." There's no lies detected in anything he's saying here. The goalposts are being moved. It's not just fans that are moving them. The wrestlers are moving them themselves. After something has been done so many times, now you have to practice something else on your trampoline, right? Or in the fucking ball pit. You're going to try if a 630 is being overplayed, you're going to try a 760. When that becomes overplayed, you're going to do a 920. When that becomes overplayed, you're going to do a 1040. It's never going to end. How many times do we see suicide dives in a wrestling match now? My girl Roxy just delivered 3 in a row last night. Everybody does them now. You could easily get tripped up on the ropes, your foot, and break your fucking neck on your way down easily. But they became a clothesline. What a clothesline used to be is a suicide dive now. What a punch or a kick used to be, and used to sell that because you're being punched and kicked by a fucking pro wrestler who actually looked like a pro wrestler back in the day. I'm not saying you got to be fucking 6'5", 340 pounds, but I mean, you sold it. Now a punch and a kick is basically a moonsault or a shooting star press. You see them so often. What was once a DDT and the effect that a DDT had, now is a Canadian destroyer. The only difference is after a Canadian destroyer, which looks like it could put you out for 10 hours, you jump right back up in 3 seconds, less than 3 seconds, because you kick out at 2.5. If you sell it to 2.5, you kick right out because you got to get up to set up your spot. Whereas a DDT would knock you out for about a minute. He's not lying. And in the process of putting your life on the line for all these stupid moves, in the process, you're making the product worse. There is no selling anymore when this type of shit never ends and they keep trying to one-up themselves. Now, of course, some of this sounds like he is preaching to them and lecturing them when he says, "Wrestlers, the fans don't understand that at any given point, these things can happen to us. And he says, before you do something stupid, consider this. And he goes into the what it could lead to. And then he says, do the right thing. There's some of these, the way that he put it, it sounds like he's lecturing them. I get that. But there's still no lies detected. It's a dangerous game that they're playing, and I understand that people think we've evolved in wrestling, and this is just the natural occurrence, but it shouldn't be. Without selling, there is no pro wrestling. And that's why a lot of people can't believe this shit anymore. You talk about not believing Bray Wyatt's supernatural powers. Well, a lot of us ain't going to believe that you can take 3 Canadian destroyers, a shooting star, a moonsault, a 450, 930, plancha somersault, luchadore, frog splash, and then after all that, kick out at 2. And then pop up after 5 seconds and deliver your 660, 420, 570, 631 plancha splash destroyer. Nobody's going to believe that, man. You got to simplify it. Take it down a few notches, man. When a DDT has an effect because you just drove somebody's dome piece into the canvas, sell that a little bit, maybe. A vicious clothesline, sell that for a minute, man. Maybe not a minute, but sell it. No? Well, whatever, man. There's no lies detected here, man. What happened here is simple. You're doing this on the eve where I believe Darby Allin is taking on Sammy Guevara. Am I right? I will double check that right now for you. I will check that right now, but I believe that Darby is taking on Sammy Guevara. 2 championship matches set to be contested. Orange Cassidy defending his international championship against Bandito. And Jade Cargill puts her TBS championship on the line against Valkyrie. So, yes, there it is. Lastly, we find out who will challenge MJF for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing when Sammy Guevara takes on Darby Allin in the Clash of the Finals of the Four Pillars tournament. So that's the big issue here, guys, is that you're saying this right before a big main event of Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. What do you guys think? What do you guys think they're gonna do tonight? What kind of match do you think they're going to have? They're going to be doing all of the things that MJF said, you're stupid if you do it. Stop it. A lot of that locker room does this style. I'm pretty sure he upset a lot of people with that post. I don't know if they went to Tony Khan to have it removed, or they personally asked MJF to remove it, or MJF just found out real quickly that's not something he wants to keep up. But he deleted that pretty fucking quickly. That's the second time this week that he has deleted something fast when put up there. The last one was the controversial take on Goldberg heading to AEW and talking about beating the living shit out of him and calling him, I'm not even going to repeat it, but it was instantly taken down. I think Legal had him take it down. I think Tony Khan had him take it down. That was mega backlash. So this is the second time within a few days. I mean, that's not like MJF. He stands by what he says. Not a good weeks on social for MJF. Maybe he just needs to take a breather. The cool thing about MJF is he lives that character in his posts and online, and I love that, man. Keep that kayfabe alive and burning, because without that, there is no pro wrestling. So I love how MJF is that dude on social. It sucks to see him deleting all of these posts lately. It kind of takes away from the character, you know? So I don't know how you guys feel about that post, but it is a big story right now in the wrestling world. It has been deleted. The fact is he told no lies. Everything he said was actually true. But because of the company he's in and the main event they have planned with the Darby Allin and Sammy, perhaps the timing could not have been worse. This comes off the heels, too, when somebody online said, Max, show us proof you can do that. I guess some type of move they were talking about. Now, MJF, Maxwell, actually responded to this fan and said, I can literally do the Commander rope walk. I can literally do the Commander rope walk. A 450, a Fosbury flop, an IKEA moonsault, I don't know what the fuck, a Phoenix splash, a tope, all the bullshit that doesn't win you a match. Which is why I did it once. Laughed at people who thought it was impressive and went back to learning the actual craft. That was before the lengthy post. That's what MJF responded to this fan who said, show us proof you can do one of these moves. And MJF said, I can literally do the rope walk, the 450, the tope, all the bullshit that doesn't win you a match, which is why I did it once, laughed at people who thought it was impressive and went back to learning the actual craft. Basically saying that a lot of the people that do that style in AEW especially, they don't know the craft of wrestling. He's laughing at them, and none of it wins you a match. Just put your life on the line. Again, there's no lies detected. Everything is actually truthful. But the company he works in, you could see how that would become an instant problem. If this was WWE, they all laugh together, probably. But not the case. So MJF once again finds himself in the hot seat. Don't know how you guys feel about it, but BCC's no lies detected. I can just absolutely see why that would be a problem because of the company he works for. However, everybody should take those words and think about them. Whether you agree with them or not, think about them. Let it kind of mull it over at the bare minimum is the best way I can put it. Because there is truth to it. It's not worth it. One of the fucking Martins recently, who was it? Darius? Dante? Maybe it was Dante. One of them just like broke their leg nonsensically doing something stupid. And I remember seeing the clip and I was like, that was not needed, man. I know we see it. I mean, you have a million stories of it, but it was just recent with him. And it was like, this guy has so much promise, you know? Tony Khan is high on him. He puts him on the fucking almost every Wednesday Dynamite when a lot of big stars like Miro's or Malakai's, they can't even get TV time most of the time. FTR all of 2022 couldn't. But the Martins were always there. There was just... people have to think more smart, man. You know? And there's an old saying, work smarter than harder. Well, BC says work smarter and harder. But put emphasis on the smarter. Interesting concept. Real quick, there was some concern over Braun Strowman missing some events. There was then a word that he had a concussion and he was being taken off the road. Braun actually has just put out a statement himself for clarification. And I quote from Braun Strowman, "Thank you to everyone that has reached out. I am doing much better. Hate missing work. Sorry to everyone over the weekend that was looking forward to me performing. We are taking every proper step to make sure I recover to 100%. So he indeed has a concussion. He is confirming that, and he is off the road, and it looks like he is going to miss many more dates. As he says, we are taking every precaution necessary. In his words, he says, we are taking every proper step to make sure that I recover to 100%. So those concussions take a couple of weeks, bare minimum. And then you know, somebody like Braun Strowman in his size, I'm guessing he'll be back. He's going to miss Backlash for sure. He'll be back for Saudi Arabia because Vince is going to want all the big boys, literally the big boys. He's going to want somebody like Braun there. So he'll definitely be back for Saudi Arabia's big show. May 27th, Saturday. And then the next day is NXT head-to-head with Double or Nothing. That's a big weekend, guys. May 27th. Braun Strowman. We hope. Sometimes these concussions, they don't heal properly. You saw Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. He just got one too many too, and then it just became just a problem where it affected everything. So we hope the best for Braun Strowman. Just wanted to throw that one at you guys as well. Guys, I think that's going to be it for now. We've reached about an hour in this podcast, so I think that's a good end point. I'll keep some of the other stories for later down the line. Much more content to come. Obviously, tomorrow is... No. SmackDown is Friday night. I hope to be live with you guys Friday night. If anybody's available Friday night to shoot the shit pro wrestling wise with BC, come to the channel, man, and we will shoot the shit. I want to be live all of SmackDown, just like I did for the first hour of Raw this week. I felt that was a really, it's a cleansing experience when all of the AMP unit can see how bad these shows are. I don't think SmackDown should be held on a pedestal anymore. It's time to start calling that out as well. I would love Friday night to do that show live with you guys. Tomorrow, there will absolutely be content, maybe even 2 vids. Maybe one of those is alive. So, yeah, there's a lot more coming this week is the point. That's what I got for you. Top Guy, I'm out. Think, be, live, amped always. BC saying check you.